Hey guys, what's going on? I know I haven't been doing many long form videos recently, I just haven't had the time, but today we're going to rank each of Cedar Point's roller coasters that I've ridden out of 10, 1 through 10. As of right now, I have not ridden Wild Mouse, Top Thrill 2, or Siren's Curse. So let's start it off. Starting off with Woodstock Express. So, it's a Vekoma Junior coaster, and it's a pretty decent kids coaster, but family coaster, but that's about all I can say. It's definitely the train is not that good. I'd rate it a, let's go 5 out of 10. Next up, Iron Dragon. It's an old Arrow suspended coaster. Fun fact, it opened the same year as Vortex at Kings Island in 1987. I have ridden 3 total Arrow suspended coasters, and that is by far my least favorite. And no swinging whatsoever except on the brake run, which is not good. So I would rank that a 5.5 out of 10. Next up is Corkscrew. This Arrow looper opened, I can't remember if it beat out Revolution at Six Flags Magic Mountain for world's first vertical loop, modern vertical loop, but one of the two they opened in the same year. Corkscrew, it does have some good characteristics and some bad ones. Obviously, the corkscrews are not that comfortable with the old Arrow trains, which really none of them are. And it did have some pretty wild pops of ejector, which I think is actually pretty cool on a looping coaster. I'd rate Corkscrew a 6 out of 10 overall. Next up is Gemini. I was only able to ride one side of it when I went, and I didn't enjoy it that much. It felt boring compared to Racer at Kings Island. It's pretty much a glorified kiddie coaster. Family coaster, sorry, Airtime Thrills. But anyway, Gemini, I'd rate, at least the side I rode, a 4.5 out of 10. I did not enjoy it. Blue Streak. It's the oldest operating coaster in the park, and it shows, unfortunately. Like, I've ridden a 101-year-old Woody. I've ridden a 50-year-old Woody. And Blue Streak opened in 1964, and that thing needs new trains. It felt like the trains were bending on the lift hill. So, not a good ride. I'd rate 4.5 out of 10. Next up, Cedar Creek Mine Ride. It's not the worst mine train I've been on, but it's also not the best, considering I've only been on 3, unless you count Gemini, which would be 4. I definitely like it more than Carolina Gold Rusher, but less than Adventure Express. And of course, you're going to have Aerojink with any of their coasters, but it's not the greatest. I'd rate it a 5 out of 10. Good for families, not much else. Okay, next up, Rougarou. I'd say this is probably one of the most underrated coasters ever. I mean, people love to hate on Rougarou, it feels like. Me as well when I first rode it. But it's actually a pretty fun ride. From what I remember, it had nice forces. I do wish I had gotten a different row for it, but we moved right on to Millennium Force, I think. So I didn't have time to. And we were only there 3 days total, I think, and that third day we just went back and rode Steel Vengeance and did a couple more rides and got out of there to drive home. Rougarou, I would rate a solid 6.5 out of 10. Moving up to Magnum. Magnum being the first hypercoaster, you know it's gonna have jank, you know it's gonna feel a little bit old, but that finale is 100% worth it. I mean, it even rivals some B&M hypers for airtime. Thunderstriker. And Magnum, really the finale is what you go for. Train's not the best, but also not the worst I've been on. The lap bars, horrendous. It could use some new trains, but you get what you get when you ride an Aero Hyper. I'd rate it a 7 out of 10. The only reason I'm not ranking it higher is because of the trains, honestly. Next up, we got Raptor, the park's B&M invert. Raptor, it's pretty intense. I still prefer Banshee over it, but honestly, it's pretty enjoyable. I don't care for the old school B&M restraints. Over the shoulder restraints. Raptor, from what I remember, it was pretty whippy during the corkscrews, or whatever you want to call them, inverted corkscrews. I'd rank Raptor at 7 out of 10. Next up, Valraven. This was the third dive coaster I rode. I had ridden Yukon Striker and Iron Menace earlier in the 2024 season, and I do agree with other coaster enthusiasts that the vest restraints kill the airtime, but I mean, it's a dive coaster, they're GP magnets, what are you gonna do? But I mean, I do like how it hangs you over the drop at, like, what, 223 feet or something like that above sea level, and just staring down at park goers, pretty weird feeling. It's just like, oh no, and then it just lets you go. Valraven, it's pretty good overall. I do like how on the 0G roll you get a bit of hang time, but that's just because of how slow it's going. Overall, I'd rank Valraven a 7 out of 10. Moving on to Gatekeeper. Gatekeeper is the park's 2013 B&M wing coaster, and this was actually the first coaster I rode at Cedar Point. I really enjoyed it. It was pretty fun. And I had heard from a friend that I think it was the only ride they were able to do at Cedar Point because it was so busy, but it was a good one, and I liked the hang time over the first drop. I thought, because that was my first wing coaster, that was a pretty cool experience. I would rate Gatekeeper a 7.5 out of 10. Excuse me. We are now in the top 10 of my personal rankings. There are only 3 more coasters to go, and now it's Millennium Force's turn. Millennium Force, it's the park's year 2000 attraction. It's an Intamin Giga, the first Giga coaster ever, actually. And I only got a back row ride, which I really enjoyed. That drop felt like it lasted forever. So going off experience, I'd rank it an 8 out of 10. Moving on to Maverick, the park's Intamin Blitz coaster, or LSM launch coaster, whatever you want to call it. It was the first of its kind, I believe, and it is intense. Like, snappy transitions, beyond vertical drop, wild air time, 70-mile-per-hour launch midway through. Fun fact, when Maverick originally opened, or when it was built, it was supposed to have 3 inversions. The horseshoe roll, which is 2 sets of 2 corkscrews with a 180-degree turn between them, as well as an inline twist heartline roll, whatever you want to call it. Heartline roll, I think, is what it was, after the launch. So, on Maverick, you have the 70-mile-per-hour launch and then a left-hand turn up into a trim brake, which leads into an S-bend over the water. Originally, that S-bend was the heartline roll, but tests found that it put too much stress on the track and trains, so they removed it and did an S-bend instead. So Maverick could have been that much crazier. Maverick is actually my number 3 favorite coaster, behind Fury 325 and Steel Vengeance, which we will get to in a minute. Maverick I would rate a 9 out of 10. The only reason I'm not doing 10 out of 10 is because the restraints stink. So constricting. Finally, this is my favorite coaster ever, Steel Vengeance. World record for airtime, 2018 attraction, RMC of the old Mean Streak. It was a giant wooden coaster in the Woody craze back in the 80s and 90s, really starting with the Beast at Kings Island. And it was designed to be like the wooden coaster of all wooden coasters, but as time went on and when Maverick opened, it drew a ridership away from Mean Streak over to Maverick and other rides in the park, such as Top Thrill Dragster, and Mean Streak just sat there. And eventually in 2016, I believe, Cedar Fair pulled the plug, said, okay, we have a giant wooden coaster, what are we going to do with it? They called up RMC. RMC worked their magic. and Steel Vengeance was created. I'm going to go out of 10 here. I'd rate this an 11 out of 10. It's just that good. And, I mean, you gotta ride it to experience it, come on. Anyway, that wraps up this video. I will see you guys in the next one, and hopefully next year there will be a lot more coaster-related content. Like, I may start doing off-ride footage because of the crazy pass deal right now. But anyway, see you in the next one. Bye.